My friends, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So I threw out on Twitter that we could do a little AMC video, and if I'm being as honest as I can, I meant to do this yesterday with the weekly outlook video, and I was covering so many charts I completely forgot. So that's on me. So yeah, I wanted to go over kind of this macro look. I've been watching on AMC for a little bit here. Clearly getting some nice moves and some nice moves coming with some decent, like box office results, stuff like that. The box office is, quickly looking better and better and better, which AMC drastically needs. It's just a super heavy cash burn business that for the most part, they run, they burn cash every single quarter, and obviously that's not a sustainable model for a long period of time, which is also why you get the constant dilution that comes with this stock. So, but hopefully, if the box office can recover, the fundamentals start improving. The chart is certainly improving, and so that's what I wanted to go over. You guys know the deal. Nothing about this video is financial advice. I'm just kind of going over the chart and the setup and overall what I would be looking for. So let's start with the monthly look. So from a monthly perspective, I always go how I look at, any time frame is how I look at every time frame. How I look at any chart is how I look at every chart. So what this is giving me is it very much reminds me of coin. So this is AMC. Now this is much longer than coin. So this is all the way back from, let's see here, AMC first IPO'd in December of 2023. So we're talking about 12 years, okay? But when I go to coins monthly chart, it was in this monthly falling wedge that then broke out, came back, retested, yada, 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 move on. We all know how that goes. Coin, I always say, is the one that got away from me. I talked about it a lot in that $30 to $60 range and just never pulled the trigger. Kept waiting for a little bit better pullback, a little bit better pullback. And now, obviously, that thing would have freaking, 10x'd on me. From where it's at. So I'm not saying that AMC is going to do that. I am just pointing out the similarities in the chart, and it's nice to actually see this. So it's kind of wedgeception, if you will. So from the monthly standpoint, we have a gigantic 10-year falling wedge. Also, when we go down to the monthly RSI, it's got some nice bullish divergence. Now, what does that mean? That means that even as price makes turn this off. So even as price makes new lows, so from right here where AMC, this was COVID, so price has made new lows, the RSI has made higher lows. And don't worry, I'll kind of show you what it could potentially look like here in just a second. Now, as you can see, these divergences, there's no timetable on how or when they could play out. But if we go down on a weekly basis, weekly, we have the same thing. So as RSI bottomed out right here, this was from a year ago where Roaring Kitty came back, both AMC and GME went on their squeezes, and then now price has come back to make equal lows. However, the RSI has made higher lows. If we get down here to the daily, we can clearly see the falling wedge that was made. We can also clearly see the bullish divergence that was getting carried the entire time. So once again, back over here, price continued to make new lows, RSI continued to make higher lows. And of course, now it's playing out. Now, typically, when you look at these rising wedges, so typically they'll play out at least to the 786 extension. And that's really where you say, okay, the move is played out. So anything above and beyond that is the gravy on the biscuit, if you will. So clearly, now you're above where that rising wedge was. So now you kind of got to use extensions at this point in time to really see. The best way to do that is I would start here from this low, move up. Golly, my screen is flickering so bad. I don't know why it's doing that. And, typically these things will play out to the 1.618. Well, that's pretty much where you opened up today. Now you're even shooting on past that. So I do think that AMC is going to run into some trouble up here around this sort of 4 to 450 area. I wouldn't be surprised at all with a sharp pullback down towards the 3 range. But overall, the setup is looking very good, and I think it could go on an overall nice run. You know, it's always one of those two, right? This is funny because this pretty much looks like AMC's macro chart after the squeeze, where this would have been the January move, then the June move, then it distributed, came back down, and then it's kind of starting all over again. And if we go to the weekly chart, right, we can easily see it. Ugh, sorry, mouse issues. Right? Here's the move, distributed on down. So it's always funny how AMC plays out like this. So for those of you that are a little bit more of a visual learner, this was exactly what I was just pointing out. So you have the descending and slash falling wedge. We've got the bullish RSI divergence going on along with it. And overall, we can expect a rally. Now, this is a 10-year chart. So I'm not saying anything tomorrow or anything along those lines. But if, once again, I was looking at this like any other chart, I would eventually expect a test right around, at a minimum, that 618, if not the 786. So that would be 56 to 66, potentially all the way up to 132. Now, the biggest problem with AMC that you're always going to have is there's always going to be potential for dilution along the way. I would feel a lot better about longing AMC if I knew that dilution was off the table. But there's no doubt about it, the chart setup is really nice. Now, the biggest thing that I would be looking for personally along the way for those that are still in it is you really got to clear these previous lows. Once AMC, and probably what it would do is maybe you catch a breakout here, then you're going to roll back over, then you would come back up, test, and it's going to take time. But if you've been in this play for this long, for whatever, 4 or 5 years, I do think the risk to reward is topside. Of course, there's always a chance that something goes to zero, that they wind up having to declare bankruptcy, but if the box office continues to improve, they keep pumping movies out, I really think that they got to get it to the point where, they get with the studios and it's just, like a minimum extended window before things are available to view at home, like really like 6 months or so at a minimum. I know that might be a pipe dream. That's not my line of work, so I don't really care about that. But yeah, just overall, you've got to get a good, clean breakout, which you're working on for sure. So yeah, it's really got to get above that 10. So there's always going to be pullbacks. I do not, and I never have believed in any type of infinity squeeze or anything along those lines. And the reality is for a lot of people, it's still got a long way to freaking go just to get your money back. Let's say you were buying that whole time. You're talking about a 1,000 to 2,000% move is going to be what is required just to get your money back. Now, has this stock seen that? Yep. I remember buying it at $1.92 back over here and waking up the next morning and it was at 19. And people thought I was crazy for taking profits. So outsized moves are certainly always possible within these meme stocks. Like I said, I do want to caution against. So I actually bought AMC back over here when you had this breakout, and then it got diluted and you got shoved right back down. So I think you have to be careful, especially if you're in any type of call options or anything like that. Please be careful about dilutions. Take those profits. If you're just in shares, then it is what it is, and you've been in this thing for a while. If you really believe in the company, hopefully you've been averaging down at this point. That way you have a nice share average. I still have some of my shares that I bought back over here at $1.92, but the reality is I got to see $19 now before I'm even back to break even. And I do think that's kind of crazy, right? Like it's going. Like I said, it's all because of the dilution and the reverse splits and everything. But and maybe you got to worry about that. I'll be honest, I have not been keeping up at all in any way, shape, or form with the AMC financials. Other than I do look at their earnings report just to kind of see how much the cash burn is still going on. So if we're looking at it from a mini macro standpoint, Yeah, see, like that 618 right here, right at about 652. If this move does continue and you start to get up there, if you see signs of trouble, then you're probably coming back down. I mean, it's not just, in my opinion, going to keep squeezing. I don't really think we have that environment. If, people want to be mad about GME and AMC and comparing the two and everything like that. But, AMC obviously saw a really nice move, saw a 280% move when Roaring Kitty came back and tweeted. So a Roaring Kitty tweet, potentially could get this thing really moving. However, just like last time, as soon as the move happened, it also got diluted. GME is obviously in a really nice setup right now. I covered that in my weekly video. And I still think it looks pretty good. So if GME still looks pretty good, minus anything dilution oriented, then I think AMC could continue to look really good as well. There's no doubt that the volume is really starting to come in here, which is exactly what you'd want to see on a breakout. And like I said, if we go to the monthly candle, I posted, I go, if you don't think the GME monthly candle doesn't look really good, you don't know what you're talking about. So obviously there's still a few days left, but this monthly candle, this thing really starts to press up and starts putting a lot of pressure up here around that 5. I think you could overall be in a move for continuation. Now let me go back to coin one more time. So once again, even here, even when you got the breakout, you still had months of consolidation. Then you'd have big moves, and then you have retest, and then moves, and then consolidation, and moves again. So I mean, it's not going to be in a straight line. I am not here to provide ridiculous hopium for anyone or anything, but it is a nice looking chart setup. If you get the move that you really start to come out here, you break above that 10, any retest back here that holds, and honestly, if I feel like the fundamentals of the company are improving enough, I'll probably long AMC again, because I really think you can start getting that kind of move. It's a great looking setup, and at the end of the day, that's what I'm here to point out. So I wish everybody the best that's in it, especially if you've been bag holding for a long time, but this is exactly what I'm looking for. And yeah, I mean, you can even see with this little example that I pulled up right here. That would make the most sense. If you do get some type of move, like I said, it's going to take it some time. But here, then a retest, start showing support there. Then you can start moving up. And like I said, who knows? It's a great, especially if you're just doing it right now, other than worrying about dilution, it's a fantastic risk to reward setup. That's honestly my biggest reason for not buying a bunch of shares right in here, is just because I'd be a little bit more worried about the dilution aspect of things. And like I said, there might be some clause going on right now that they can't dilute. I just don't know. So please do your own due diligence. But from a pure chart perspective, it looks great. I like it. Okay. Wish you guys all the best. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Not financial advice. And I wish you all the best. Just at the end of the day, make great trades for yourself, your family, and your portfolio. If you have been averaging down and you're starting to get to that point where you're seeing some light at the end of the tunnel, just like I said, do what's best for you at the end of the day. Have a good one, my friends.